So how about AMI 2016? Did you have a good day at your case studies? Excellent. Well, so tonight's our closing banquet. In addition to all of the awards, I just wanted to share a few thoughts with you. It's something I've been thinking about, actually, since I came into this role as CEO. It's really been on my mind. So tonight I want to talk to you about a special issue. Now, your mother probably told you that sticks and stones can't break your bones, but words can never hurt you. But we know that's not true, right? Words can hurt, and they do. Small comments that aren't intended all the way up to big campaigns, you know. This is the year to spread the word and end the word, right? Campaigns are important. Words do hurt. So we've all been there in that moment of heartbreak and sorrow. So today I want to talk to you about how assumptions, misinformation, and even derogatory remarks are hurting the work we're doing in the nonprofit sector. And I want to show you how we can stand together and ensure that it stops. When I was first getting into nonprofit work, now that was a few years ago, I had a friend who was really questioning me about my career choice. He said, nonprofit, you know, what is that? And this friend of mine, he was a corporate bank exec, right? So he had no concept of the work I was doing. He was a little concerned that I wasn't getting paid, you know, that it's all volunteer work. So 25 years later, when I see him on occasion, he still asks me, how's my volunteer gig going now? How many of you have found yourself in a similar situation, right? Everybody, if you're working in a nonprofit, Dave Mercer. So we're left to defend our career choice, right? Explain that nonprofit staff do, in fact, get paid. Amazing. But you can't blame my friend, and you can't blame the high school guidance counselors who are sitting across the table from young, bright students, and they say, I want to work in a nonprofit organization. And the reaction they get is sort of over the glasses and raise a brow, right? There's a lot of misinformation out there. And when it comes to nonprofit employment, frankly, our sector hasn't done enough to correct that misinformation. But before I get too far down this path of standing on my soapbox, I want to tell you a story about pit bulls. You'll see there's an important lesson we can learn from this breed of dog. So I have another friend, and this friend was looking to adopt a homeless dog. She was really looking at a rescue dog that had some pit bull in him, right? But she also had an 18-month-old daughter. And she started thinking about all the things she had heard in the media. Pit bulls are vicious and untrustworthy. Pit bulls have locking jaws. Pit bulls are aggressive towards humans. And even though my friend didn't really believe most of that, she didn't like the way she thought people would look at her as a mother. She feared they would judge her for bringing a dangerous animal into their home. So instead, she got a lab. Of course, all of those fears are indeed just myths. It is a fact that pit bulls are one of the most slandered and misunderstood dog breeds in the world. In Malcolm Gladwell's poignant essay, Troublemakers, he discusses how when experts tested the temperaments of dog breeds, including the dog's stability, shyness, aggressiveness, and friendliness, pit bulls fared far better than beagles, collies, and even Labradors. But we in the nonprofit sector know better than most. Stereotypes do exist. At best, they keep us from getting our daily work done. But at worst, they rob us of the momentum needed to make true social change. When the nonprofit sector is covered in the media, it frequently isn't positive. And even when it is positive, it's stated in such a way that makes us inferior to the other sectors. A few years back, I was reading a story in the Washington Post online. The feature story ran, and it was about a nonprofit organization called Atlas Corps, very innovative programs that they were covering. The opening line to that article said, "The startup is a nonprofit, but don't press your snooze button yet." The author thought he was being clever or maybe humorous, but in fact, he was perpetuating a commonly held belief about the work that we do. That is, we are the third sector. After business and government, which have these vibrant and very important careers, you have us. We're a victim to a history that was born in a subservient culture, where we were surviving off whatever extra resources were left, time, money, the change from those two important sectors. As our friend Robert Egger says, we were always begging for change. And because of that, we aren't seen as a significant force in the economic framework of our country. Even our name perpetuates this stereotype. We've let the IRS define us in terms of what we don't do, pay taxes. And we've let the corporate world continue to draw distinctions between career pathways in each of our sectors. Pay attention to the current ad campaigns, and you will see that corporate America is taking full advantage of the millennials' interest in service-focused careers. Our space is being infiltrated at the same time that a large segment of the country is misinformed about what we do and how we do it. They're actively discouraging the best and brightest from seeking nonprofit careers. Our parents, our friends, our mentors, our guidance counselors, we have a bad rep, and we aren't doing anything to diffuse those stereotypes. So what does this mean for the nonprofit sector workforce? How is bad publicity really hurting our ability to strengthen communities? The Alliance was founded back in 1948 on the premise that a nonprofit's success is determined by the quality of people engaged in carrying out its mission. It is a nonprofit workforce truth. We live and die by the quality of people who do the work of our organizations. But many young adults, your peers, our students, are not willing to consider nonprofit careers because they haven't bought into the rhetoric. Because they have bought into the rhetoric. This isn't a vibrant career opportunity. I won't be able to earn a decent salary and pay off my student loans. The nonprofit sector isn't an economic force. Nonprofits are soft and too focused on being do-gooders to get the job done. And also, there's little room for advancement. These are, of course, just blatant lies. Words that most certainly hurt. Maybe not our feelings, but definitely they are negatively impacting our ability to change the world in the way that we want to. So what would happen if we decided not to accept those lies? What if we made it our number one objective to dispel these myths? The nonprofit sector of today hardly resembles the nonprofit sector of 25 years ago. Perhaps the most striking conclusion to emerge from recent reports on nonprofit employment is the persistent vitality of the nonprofit labor market. Nonprofit employment grew every year during the last decade, despite 2 recessions, while for-profit employment contracted. In half of the states, nonprofit employment exceeded that in manufacturing, the industry that is often perceived as the engine of economic strength. 1 in 10 U.S. employees works for a nonprofit organization. And in some regions, like New England, nonprofit employment represents over 16% of the workforce. And what about wages? Studies that compare nonprofit wages show that we are competitive compared to the for-profit and government sectors. And where there is a significant wage difference, we're closing the gap. Looking at the last decade, overall nonprofit wages increased by 29%. Compare that to for-profit wages over the same time period, which decreased by 1%. We are, in our own right, an economic engine in this country. Yet guidance counselors, media outlets, and our friends and family aren't recognizing the change. They're still talking about us as charity. They imagine our fundraising campaigns as being church ladies, walking door to door with a can, collecting change. The fact is that charity lady doesn't work here anymore. But we will only be able to change this perception if everyone in the room steps up and joins the conversation. Nonprofits are our most viable option to create social change. The infrastructure already exists. We just need to fill the organizations with best and brightest talent. Every day, 10,000 baby boomers turn 65. The leadership deficit that was previously suggested has arrived, creating a serious challenge for our leadership. Millennials and Gen Z, the most service-focused generations in our history, must know about the opportunities that exist in the nonprofit sector. So what can we do? First, find ways to reach out to young people to help them understand the truth about nonprofit careers, whether that's doing presentations to high school students or just talking to your roommate in the dorm. Everyone in this room can play a role in getting the word out about nonprofit careers. Next, with only 10% of academic institutions in this country offering programs in nonprofit studies, colleges across the country have to know about the impact of these degree programs. Encourage those in your network to join the Alliance and consider adding nonprofit to their curriculum. We currently have 37 campuses in 28 states. Our goal is to have a campus-based program in all 50 states. Thank you. It's a good goal. So finally, don't settle for less. Recent independent research demonstrates that our certified nonprofit professionals are well prepared and positioned for success. In fact, they are 7 times more likely to rise to a director level in the organizations where they work. Prefer CNPs in your hiring practices. It truly does pay off. Currently, the Alliance awards the credential to around 500 students annually. This is a drop in the bucket compared to the demand in our workforce. Our board has set a strategic goal and plan to increase that number to 1,500 by 2018. Huge increase? Yes, but absolutely doable if each and every one of you is on our bus. The potential impact is profound. Strong leaders lead strong nonprofit organizations. Strong nonprofit organizations build strong communities. If you want to make social change, then this is your pathway. Join the conversation. So when I see my friend next, and he asks about my little nonprofit career, I'm going to make sure he knows I'm just fine. And this career is anything but. Thank you very much.